You're listening to Oilersnation Radio, presented by the Nation Network. Subscribe for free on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts from.
People can hear us laughing like over the intro. They won't know why.
Recording in progress. So if you're wondering why we're
the recording lady.
If you're wondering why we're laughing to start the intro, now Zoom did an update. So we've been recording this podcast over Zoom for a year now, but they just did an update. So now when Tyler presses record, we get a message saying recording in progress. And then when it ends, she lets us know that we're done.
Because the big red dot that says recording doesn't let you know that it's being recorded. Yeah,
but you guys do this a couple times a week, right? Like I do this once a week. So I always forget about this thing. And then she pops on. I'm like, it startles me every time. And I get the notification up on my screen. I'm like, oh yeah, okay, hold on.
It's game time.
I just like
Focus on the screen.
I just like it. I find it fun. All right. Oilers Nation Radio, episode 142. I'm Bag Milk here with Tyler Remchuk, Nation Dan, and Rick. We are going to break down the world of the Edmonton Oilers and the NHL at large. We've got a lot of things on the list. At least that's what Tyler says. I was trying to add more, but he said no. But first, we shout out our friends at Sherwood Ford, the Giant, out in beautiful Sherwood Park, Alberta. Go on out to get yourself a Bronco. I don't know who did this Photoshop. Dan, do we know who did this Photoshop? Is that Jared? Jared and Sales?
Actually. I'm not sure.
There is a Nation Photoshopped Ford Bronco along with Sherwood Ford graphics on it. And I can't imagine that the four of us wouldn't look pretty sweet with those. All different colors, maybe orange, maybe blue. Maybe someone even gets the dark navy, like the third jersey.
Can I get the new one? The new white, the really nice crisp white and the orange?
Like a kitted out, like a reverse retro truck?
Yeah, I think that looked really nice. I think that
so
looked
too.
really nice.
I'll keep it clean. I'll wash it more often than Jay.
Absolutely. Jay's talking about a $3 wash, but I still feel like he's ducking on that one. But anyway, that is another story. Go ahead and follow Sherwood Ford on Twitter, at Sherwood Ford, on Instagram, at Sherwood Ford _the Giant. Service, parts, vehicles, whatever you need, they've got it all. Sherwood Ford. And they're all very, very handsome, by the way. Just throwing that in there. Tyler, please kick us off with the Sherwood Ford Giant question of the week.
The Sherwood Ford Giant question of the week. I have it up on our Twitter, up on our Instagram, so people could chime in before we started recording. But keeping it realistic, that is the caveat to this. Who is your dream offseason acquisition for the Edmonton Oilers? Who should be target number one, whether it's trade, free agency, whatever? Who is target number one for Ken Holland? That is your Giant question.
Gentlemen, who wants to start? Or do I get to be selfish and start?
Give her.
Seth Jones. That's the answer. Seth Jones. Is it realistic? Probably not. But when he said he is going to test free agency, that's the number one on my wish list. The Oilers need a number one defenseman. And he would be that on this team anyway. Tyler is shaking his head at me. No, he doesn't like my wish.
We can circle back and fight about it after everyone else gives their answers for dream acquisition.
Wow, you're already getting squared up on Bagman.
Oh, yeah.
This is going to be a fighting episode. I could feel it coming because we've got a topic later on that could also prompt another one. Here we go. Dan, who you got? Who's your number one on your wish list?
My number one addition that I think is realistic is a Tuukka Rask in net. I think that he comes in at an age number where it would work out for the goalies that are developing behind him to be able to come up afterwards. And I've been the guy that's been kind of pushing for that 1A, 1B goaltender in the offseason. So Tuukka Rask, my big acquisition.
I'm leaving Tyler last because he's disappointing me today.
Yeah, fair enough.
Rick, you're next up. Number one on your wish list. Frank, you settle down. You're last.
Well, yeah, he's putting in his own 2 cents, so he doesn't like that either. No, you know what? So I'm gonna look at a UFA here because going Bag Milk's route, you have to see if you have to make some subtractions, right? So you're gonna lose some guys in order to get this. So it's gonna change shit. That's why I like bring someone in here for free. And I'm just looking at this list here, and there's the name that stands out the most to me. I just don't think is realistic, so I'm not gonna choose him. That's Landeskog. So it comes down to 2 players to me. And I think I'm going to go with Dougie Hamilton because I do like that first line, that number one defenseman type of a situation. And I think he'd just probably be a little bit more valuable than my second one's going to be Taylor Hall. But I think, based on this as a UFA, so we don't lose anything in bringing him in. We're just bringing him for free. I think Dougie Hamilton is the way to go.
All right, Wet Blanket, you're up.
For people who have listened to my take on this, they're going to know it's a trade target, and it's the boy Ricard Raquel, a guy who can play either wing, help out on the power play, play top 6 minutes, is fine defensively, has a good shot, knows how to finish. Rickard Rakell, man, he might cost a little bit in a trade, but his cap hit is low this season, and you can re-sign him after that. So I really like the fit of Rickard Rakell in this Oilers top six. He is a bit of a dream. It's a little realistic, but definitely not something I'm banking on. But I'd love for the Oilers to get their hands on someone like Rakell this offseason.
So I actually like Rickard Rakell, Tyler.
Yeah, I love
you're
Rakell.
just dismissing of my idea.
Well,
why do you
What's
hate
his-
Seth Jones? I know he's signed. It would be a trade.
Mm-hmm. So
But-
the reason I don't like Seth Jones is because I'm not sold on him as a legit number one stud defenseman. I think if he's paired with the right guy, he can play in your top pairing. I think he's a damn good second pairing guy. He can handle his own on the top pair, but he's not that finishing piece that, like, he's not in the Hedman conversation or the Makar conversation. He's in that next tier for me. And you have a number one defenseman in Darnell Nurse. He played like a number one defenseman this year. You can't really argue it. And the problem with Jones is that you're going to have to give up a first round pick and then something to get him from Columbus this year. And he's a UFA at the end of next year. So he could potentially walk. There's no guarantee. So the issue with Jones is that you have to give up two really good assets for him. And if you do get him signed, you're still going to have to pay probably $8 million a season for him. And I don't think he's worth that. I like Rick's idea. If you think the Oilers need a number one defenseman, go get Dougie Hamilton, pay the money because you're okay paying the money clearly, but save the first round pick and save the prospect and just jump straight in and get Dougie Hamilton this offseason. He's probably a better defender. He is a better defenseman than Seth Jones. And two, it's just an easier move to make.
And three, we have nice museums here.
I was going to say, like,
I hated
the
that
museums
story.
we have they're excellent. You know, the art gallery is beautiful.
What's the cost for Rakell, and what's the worry that his contract's going to be overinflated when he signs his next one?
I don't think he costs you. He definitely doesn't cost you as much as Jones does. I bet you, like, Jones, I think would cost you a first and like a good prospect. I think Rakell costs you a first. And if you throw in a prospect, you might get something back.
I know. What do you think his contract is when he has to sign? Because he obviously going to for 1 year, not going to move on from him from there. You're going to have to re-sign him. For sure, you maybe want to do a little more research than off the top of your head. But what do you think that kind of contract looks like? Because that's going to be a huge factor in making that move.
Well, he'd be making 3.79 next season. And I bet you his next deal, even if he comes here and shoots the lights out, because it's still flat cap world, he's $5.5 million, $5 to $5.5 million in that range if he comes here and has a good season.
And he's going to be in your top six?
Yeah, he'd be my top six left winger. I'd play him with Nugent or McDavid or Draisaitl.
Then having one, if not two left wingers, both at 5.5. Just saying that if that's what we get Nugent or whatever, then I could see that going forward as being a good thing.
I'm just not as high on Jones as some people are. And when I look at the problems for the Oilers, I went on my little rant about this last episode, but they need goals. Like, their defense isn't really a problem. The right side of their blue line with Larson, Bouchard, and Bear is kind of good enough, in my opinion. And I don't think their top nine is good enough. So if I'm going to see Ken Holland spend assets and significant money on something, I would like Seth Jones here, but I think it's a luxury item. I don't think it's something they absolutely need to do. So I'd rather they address the needs before they go shopping for luxury shit.
Well, see, I think that I take umbrage with the fact that we do need defense to be better, because the defense was like a really strong point of our offense in the regular season, and that disappeared in the playoffs. And we haven't talked about that very much. I don't think a lot of people have talked about that.
We had no offense in the playoffs, though.
But the defense was a part of it. The defense is going. If you have that as your, if you look at,
but the defense did their job, and the defense did their job.
Defense held the Jets really well.
Exactly, and we failed in getting offensive goals.
But when you look at that as saying that the Oilers need secondary scoring, in the regular season they had their secondary scoring from the defense. Fair enough to say. That's
sure, but their defense supplied some offense. Sure,
their defense is like one of the top five producing defenses in the league this year.
In order for that, though, you need to have an offense that is potent as well to attract all the defenders that way, to leave the defenseman wide open at the blue lines.
Well, but I think
you can always upgrade your defense, always.
Yeah, and I think that my thing is that if you continue to upgrade the defense, and especially I'm of the mindset that Clefbaum isn't ever going to play hockey again. That's just kind of where my head is at right now, and I hope that he proves me wrong. But I think
That'd be
this
nice.
team does need to take another step forward in its defensive stuff, and so yeah, bringing in a Dougie Hamilton is a really good option. I mean, I
would like Dougie Hamilton too, by the way.
But that's
But
a
then
left
I would
and
go
a
to the
right
museum
conversation. That's a lefty-righty conversation.
I thought Hamilton's a
If
right.
you lose Clefbaum,
Hamilton is a righty.
right. Yeah, and then Clefbaum's a lefty. So if Clefbaum's gone, you're not just moving one over. They've proven they don't really like doing that. I don't know if a lot of teams in the league do that anymore.
Yeah,
No, but like to me, you look at Hamilton as a replacement for Tyson Barrie.
Okay, so then you're trading one of Bear or Bouchard?
Or you're not bringing back
Depends what-
Larson.
Not bringing them back.
Depends what
I
the
don't know.
return
There's all
is.
kinds of options you could do there.
Yeah, I mean, I think that just gives you more options to do a move like that, provided you want to.
And you don't have to make that move either. Like I don't know. Everybody was harking, like they were talking about it actually today on Dropping the Gloves with Ken Reed, about how Leaf fans, they seem to overvalue the 7th and 8th defensemen on their teams, and they just want to see them playing all the games. And I find that there's a little bit of that leaching into the Oilers fandom, where it's like,
oh man, I wouldn't say leaching in. I would say that is fucking roaring through town.
yeah,
But
and
no,
just
but it's just with Bouchard.
It's not even just.
But it's
Bouchard.
almost.
We're talking
but it's
about
real. But it's real though. Like I guess last year with the way it was with COVID and everything, that pushing him into the lineup was a little bit tough. But without COVID and stuff, he was most likely going to be AHL for the majority of the year. But he is at the cusp, right? So to have someone sit there and go, he should be playing. They're a little bit wrong, but they're not totally wrong.
No, and I'm not saying that
right?
they
So,
are.
but
But I'm
he's
just
at
saying
a point. He's at a point right now. You can't have him as your number 7 going to next year. He's got to be one of your top 3, or you've
I
got
don't know if he's not good enough.
Put him there.
If he's not good enough to be in the top 6 with a Dougie Hamilton addition, then it is what it is. Like, and maybe yes, you do have to make a transaction there, but at the end of the day, you don't have to because he's under contract.
You don't know if he's going to be good enough or not because he's never got the opportunity.
Well, he did get the opportunity. He played 15 games this year, and he was good in all of them, or all of them.
That's what I mean.
Against Toronto.
That's fair. But that going forward into the next year, I can see that's 100%. I think even Tippett or Holland came on and said it. He's in the lineup, sort of whatever. That coming next year. I
just don't think if you can get Dougie Hamilton at the number that you value him at, you turn that down because I have to make a decision about the other.
1,000%.
Well,
that's my thing.
Okay, but
I'm with Dan.
Dougie is going to cost you like $7,
$8 million.
Maybe if you, but like that's what I'm saying. That's where the conversation obviously wavers, right? If we're talking $9 million for Dougie Hamilton, yeah, then you don't make that transaction. But if you have an internal value of say $7.5 million, $8 on Dougie Hamilton, and he agrees to $8 million for your team, you don't worry about what you have to do with the rest of the guys in the lineup because he comes in and makes your defense better.
No, you can make a transaction. Wouldn't it be nice for once if the Oilers could actually trade from a position of strength? Wouldn't that be great?
Okay, but
I
think
not
the
trading
other
for position of strength then because you have too many right-handed shots. So they know you're going to be like not willing to stand up as long because you need to get rid of.
But who says you got to make a deal? Who says
you don't have to make a transaction?
You don't have to do
You're
anything.
going to keep Bouchard. You're going to keep Bouchard in as your 7th.
If you can put him in the have to, or you go in the AHL. Yeah,
you're going to put.
That's what the AHL's for. Like.
No,
and the reality is that
he's done his AHL time.
Yeah, but according to you, though,
he's done.
What clock is there?
I don't think he's done. I don't think he's done. Based on his usage, this year, I don't think the organization thinks he's done, or else he would have played.
No, you couldn't get him. He was in that weird spot where, yes, he would have been in the AHL if it wasn't COVID, but they needed him at the drop of a hat just in case, therefore couldn't go down. Last year would have been the last of his, like he'll never go see the AHL ever again.
No, he's done in the AHL. Ken Holland said that.
But if he's not good enough to be in your top 6.
He is good enough.
No. The conversation you guys are presenting
just
is
like
we signed Dougie Hamilton.
Stuck on it. It's like
we signed Dougie Hamilton. Then you ask the question, what do we do with the less good player?
Or you could trade Bear.
Yeah.
The other side of this argument I'm going to present.
It gives you options. It gives you options to make
a move, and I get that.
Or you could play Bouchard in the AHL and see how things go.
Because injuries happen, you guys, right? Like it's not the end of the conversation to say that, just because you have a top 6 that is the top 6
I want to
start,
see the reaction. I want to see the reaction of everybody here when in 6 months from now they say, okay, we're going to put Bouchard down into the minors.
If they have Dougie Hamilton ahead of them, I would not mind that one.
There's still going to be guys along.
I would not mind one bit.
Okay, here's the other side of this, though, is that they don't have infinite money. So, but let's say they have $10 million to spend once they take care of, a goalie and they get Larson back, or I guess you don't even have to include Larson, but if they have $10 million and Hamilton costs you $8 million, that means you have like $2 million to get a forward. What if you can take that $10 million and that's enough to get you Coleman and Saad? Like, to me, two good UFA forwards, the way the UFA forward market's looking, is way more impactful to this team than a luxury piece, like another good blue liner. They have a pretty deep blue line right now. 100%. And they probably could benefit from a lefty versus a righty. Like, if you said $8 million on Dougie Hamilton, or take that $8 million and give me Alexiak and Saad, I'd probably take Alexiak and Saad as a duo, just because the Oilers need depth right now. And that's why I kind of scoff at the idea of an expensive D-man.
So handcuffing ourselves with a Dougie.
You're also doing the thing Oilers fans do, that just assuming Brendan Saad wants to sign in Edmonton.
Okay, but if it's not Saad, then give me Coleman. And if it's not Coleman,
I guess
take a run at Hyman.
Over and over again.
And that's,
I know, but like, if you try for 4 of those big name UFAs, one of them is likely going to sign with you. You're the Edmonton Oilers. You have Connor McDavid. Someone will value that.
But I think that the conversation has just been like we said, if $8 million is what the organization values Dougie Hamilton as an Edmonton Oiler at, and he agrees to that, then you take that. You don't scoff at that because, and I'm not saying that that's the number that the Oilers are valuing.
You spend that money elsewhere. And you roll with the 3 guys.
If you can upgrade your defense, you do it.
I know, but you also need to upgrade your forward group right now.
Exactly.
So then you can trade Bear, you can trade Bear or Bouchard if that's your route. And
that's not neither one of them are going to bring in the type of value you could get out of a guy on the UFA market right now and using that $8 million.
That's conjecture. That's pure conjecture. You have no idea what a player would sign in Edmonton for. Just because Connor doesn't mean shit.
I think Tyler.
No, but you look outside of Edmonton. Look at outside Edmonton and see if anyone's going to have any type of actual value for Bouchard, or Bear.
Raquel. I think you could
get like a DeBrusque for one of them.
You could sell any team on the future value of Bear or a Bouchard for a top end winger like a Raquel or a DeBrusque.
I think
I'm not so sure they're top end wingers, but
Beg Milk and Dan, I think you guys are assuming that I like hate the idea of it. I don't like if they sign Hamilton, like I'm cool with it. And yeah, you'd have to move one of the youngsters, and like that's fine too. You got to win that trade, but you can make the move. I just think looking at this market, there's so many good UFA wingers right now, and I would just prefer to see them go after that and bring in 2 impactful wingers and re-sign Nuge and build up a forward core that looks like Colorado's right now.
Again, the Oilers need a bunch of forwards, but I'm just saying if you can upgrade your defense because Dougie Hamilton wants to show up in Edmonton, you take it.
Yeah. And I think that's the other thing too that we're seeing in this playoffs. Yes, Colorado is the exception to the rule right now, but they are one of the deepest forward groups we've ever seen. And yes, I would love the Oilers to be there, but I don't think that that's going to happen over this offseason. The reality is we got beat by a team that had a bigger defense than us. And yes, our defense played well, but
we couldn't score.
Same thing with the Toronto
Maple Leafs. One of the deepest forward groups.
We couldn't score. Same thing with the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Okay, but
we couldn't score. They didn't stop us. We couldn't score.
If your argument is
they lost.
If your argument is that you need to build a blue line like if your argument is you want to build a blue line like Montreal or Winnipeg has, then you're not going after Jones or Hamilton. You're going after Alexiak or you're going after Savard.
What I'm doing is you make the defense better and then the defense plays more confident. That's the thing that I think we all kind of agreed on, is that this team didn't play confident. They were playing scared. No, you don't.
And I don't think a defenseman doesn't
said they were playing afraid.
Okay, but
playing tentative.
I don't think Dougie Hamilton or Seth Jones will suddenly make your team like more or less afraid.
If your defense is better, the defense is more confident.
But what if Dougie Hamilton just plays afraid? I don't know. Like that's confidence is a totally different argument.
What if you go sign a bunch of forwards and you're happy with your defense as is, and you get a Toronto situation where you have forwards, but your defense takes a step back and you get fucked again?
Okay, but they got fucked because their star players didn't show up. They didn't get fucked because of their blue line. Their defense was good.
Montreal ran the cycle a bunch of times in Toronto zone. A bunch of times.
Doesn't score no goals, man. You want to hang out in the corner all game and skate around the perimeter.
Zone time matters, dude. Zone time matters.
It does. But like I don't know. I look
at zone time and we got swept.
Yeah. I don't know.
All the analytics and we got swept.
Yeah, because this team relies on 2 players to score all its goals.
So they should get more than 2 players who can score goals.
But that's the thing.
You can do both. If you have a chance to upgrade your defense, you upgrade the defense.
I think you tie your hands if you do a Dougie Hamilton's contract.
Yeah, it's coming back to the fact that the number has to make sense for the Oilers and their internal number.
Well, whatever his number is going to be too high anyways. Like even his low side number is going to be like 7 something. That's probably a little bit too high for us right now.
But don't you also think
when we need to like really worry about getting that guy to play next to Connor?
That guy, whoever that guy is also going to cost too much.
Okay, but he's going to be playing next to Connor and hopefully producing. And keeping Connor here happy. And keeping Connor happy.
I think the reason the winger might not get as overpaid is because you could
it's Edmonton, dude. It's Edmonton.
There's more of them, though.
I know, but that's what I'm saying. Like, well, I could say that it's Edmonton argument for Hamilton, too, right? Like, it's Edmonton. They're going to have to overpay. But, like, there's one damn good D-man on the market this year, and it's Hamilton. And Jones is available via trade. When you look at the forwards, there's a laundry list of good forwards that are on the market, especially with the expansion draft coming up and teams that might be losing good forwards as well. Like there's rumors Pittsburgh might trade Jake Gensel. Like there's forwards available. And that's why I think the price on some of these guys might get driven down a little bit. Like people are talking about Tatar. I think Tatar's going to have to take a 1-year deal somewhere. Like I don't think he's getting scooped up 2 days into free agency. So I think the market's a little flooded with forwards. And that's why the opportunity might be there to actually nab 2 of them without having to go Lucic mode and give them 6x7 or whatever.
But again,
and thanks to Tyson Berry for that, because Tyson Berry signed that 1-year contract. We can use that as an example to try and bring some guys in next year.
You guys are more hopeful of being able to sign free agents in Edmonton than I am.
Well, Edmonton has done a good job of signing free agents in the past.
I don't think it's
never really been like
which has been the guy that's really been sexy for you the last couple of years.
Okay, but
we haven't been able to though.
Well, you can't use hindsight though. Like look at it in the moment.
What do you mean?
They got Pouliot, they got Sekera, they got Lucic, they went out last year, they got Tyson Berry.
And did those work well?
Okay, but then Reggie Hamilton might not work well.
Berry did.
And Berry
Berry did. Yeah, like he executed his plan perfectly.
Reg was very solid. It's just unfortunately that the people in charge didn't quite see it that way.
Well, again, that's another problem that you have to factor in here. This is fucking Edmonton Oilers, the only team without an analytics department. We're still living in the VCR age around here.
That upsets
analytics doesn't tell you anything about injuries.
Yeah, but
if you can watch movies on a VCR.
We got swept. We won analytics in this turn. We won the analytical whatever in the first round. We got swept in 4 games.
All right, man, cancel your Netflix. Use the VCR.
But if we
don't use Netflix, I use my fucking PVR.
I'll use the analogy.
Cancel your PVR.
Of a toolbox for a car.
Cancel a PVR.
You're so spicy today, Bagged Milk.
You go to
what are we talking about? Just
you go to an auto garage.
Everybody has a fucking analytics department. We're the ones that are just like, oh, we don't need it. And then you'll point to like Toronto.
Do we actually know this? Where do we know this that we have nothing?
They have a one-dude analytics department.
It's like you go to your car mechanic and you have to get something fixed, and one guy has a toolkit that's got everything in it, and the other guy has a hammer and a fucking knife. Which guy are you asking? Like you gotta have everything in your toolkit. Don't get me wrong, Rick. I'm with you. I'm with you that you don't make a team based off of analytics.
No,
that's what the Arizona Coyotes tried to do. But
a couple of teams have done that. No one's won the cup yet with that.
But also no team have won the cup run and gun style either. And we're creating a team that is run and gun style with 2 of the greatest offensive players in the league on it. And we're saying, let's just keep hammering our head through the wall and keep adding a winger, hoping that this one works out for Connor.
We've never added a winger for Connor. We've never added a winger for Connor. When have we ever
Lucic was supposed to be the winger for Connor.
Lucic was supposed to be the winger for Connor. Ty Ratty was supposed to be the fucking answer.
No, that was he was just
if you're parking him next to him,
Tyler Ennis.
Parking him next to him, do you expect him not to contribute?
We were just picking things out of our own bag of.
We've ruined Tyler Ennis.
We had.
But if it's an analytics department, nobody's saying use that to make all your decisions. But it makes no sense to not have one.
No, that's fair.
I'm with you.
That's where the Oilers are at. It's just like, I don't think anybody should make solely analytics-based decisions, but I would like to have a team that actually looks at all this data, has people put it together and say, here, Ken, this is what the numbers say. Do with it as you please.
Do you actually need a department to do that for you? Because can't you just go to like these websites out there and do it yourself? I get what you're saying. But do you actually like
We talked to Paul Maurice about this on the DFO rundown. The data that's available to the public is good, but he said it's like a fraction of what they have. Like the actual shit they're able to dig up, and the people who can work like 8 hours a day, like re-tagging games and going back and spotting shit out. Like, and it's a big difference.
Each team creates their own system as to what they value and what they undervalue and all those kinds of things too, right? And so that's what your team is designed to do, is to figure out what Moneyball statistic or what physical thing you need to have as a part of the toolbox for Ken Holland to go into negotiations with. But yeah, I don't know. We sit here and we're like, well, Ken Holland was a good GM in Detroit and he's got nothing new going on in Edmonton. It's still just his gut and his gumption. I don't know. It's weird.
Speaking of something new, Dan, I want to negotiate a deal with Skip the Dishes.
Yes.
It's going to be from a liquor store. I'm telling you that right now.
I just went and grabbed a beer.
skipthedishes.ca. Get yourself something to eat from all of the wonderful restaurants around Edmonton. Try something new this weekend, maybe something that you've always wanted to try, but you haven't yet had the courage to do it. This weekend's the weekend for it. Skipthedishes.ca. Tip your driver. They will bring it right to your door. Get yourself fed. Now, back to the Sherwood Ford Giant question. The real answer, the wish list. Can I just give you guys one unrealistic wish, please?
Please be Ovechkin.
Nathan McKinnon.
It's Ovi. Could you imagine the power play with Ovechkin on the half boards?
Okay,
dude, it's not even that. It's not even that. It's the 5-on-5 playoff types of shifts that I would be most jacked up about. Like the power play, yes, but the fact he could go out there and like do what he can do, what he like in that first shift he had in the first round this year, he went and leveled a guy, right? Like what he could do for that first line, I think 5-on-5 would be fantastic. I don't think the power play can get much better.
Could you imagine the power play though? Connor fucking setting him up, teeing him up from his zone.
Okay, but imagine
but Connor's in the middle. Like who does he pass to?
Yeah,
it's gonna break his heart not to pass to Leon.
We keep talking about like who could be the power play quarterback. You get Ovi on one side, Draisaitl on the other. McDavid can just be the defenseman, and he'll just sit there and they won't move. They'll be stagnant. And Chason will stand in front. They'll fucking bring him back.
No, Darnell Nurse is now the net front presence because then he can also haul ass and play defense. That's what we're doing
first.
The sale pitch.
Connor up top, Ovi on this side, Leon on that side. Nuge is the bumper.
No, all of a sudden you're gonna need some real good hands down low because you're gonna have three guys hang up real high. If you get to pass that umbrella, you're gonna have a short little 1-2 pass for banging.
Actually, you can't. The NHL will decide that the power play for the Oilers is too unfair, and they have to actually only keep 4 guys on the ice. Like, no, you guys can't have a 5-on-4. None of that.
The sales pitch has to be that, you know what, Ovi, it's pretty it sucks that the lockout took away some of your time and all these different things. You want to beat Gretzky's record? Go to his house.
Yes.
Go to his house.
Closer to Russia?
And make it happen. And yes, the climate is as close to home as you want to be.
Exactly.
Well, even in distance, like maybe if you go the other way, is it who's closer to Russia?
Vancouver,
us or Washington? No, not them.
Yeah, it's not even close.
Washington or us.
All right, let's just back to the realistic options. Anybody else that just kind of is interesting? Because I saw a bunch of Oilers fans
saying, man.
I think
I get it, but he's gonna be most likely hits July 1 or whatever. I think Boston scoops him real quick. Tyler's definitely
Boston signing the guy, man.
I think they do too, but do you keep both him and Jake?
Yeah, maybe.
Like, can they afford to do all this? Like, is it going to fit in there? Because if they don't, then Taylor, I don't think even gets his 8 that he is asking for. He's already. I think this might be a little too much of a fishbowl for him to really enjoy it right now because Edmonton's Edmonton. But I think he's doing really well in Boston, and he hasn't tried to take the spotlight from the perfection line or whatever. Like everybody thought he was going to do to Connor here and whatever. Like, I honestly think he'd be a good
Boston
addition.
has $28 million in projected cap space for this offseason. If they want to get a bunch of guys done, they can get a bunch of guys done. I don't think they have enough money to go like dipping into the free agent market, but if they get Hall done, you got to get Krejci done. And then after that, like DeBrusk has 1 more year still, so they don't have to worry about him. They might need a goalie because Rask is likely going to walk or potentially walk. Like they have shit to take care of, but they can take care of their own stuff.
I just thought I said earlier it was going to be Hall or DeBrusk for Boston going forward after this year. They'd have to decide.
Tying in the DFO rundown, Tyler, what about a guy like Zach Hyman?
He's interesting. I think he's really interesting, but my concern is Like we talk about free agent deals that kind of bite you in the ass a little bit. And Zach Hyman almost has like, I feel like because people haven't heard about him a lot in the past, they kind of go like, oh, Zach Hyman, like a really good young winger. Hey, the guy's 28 years old, right? So he's not exactly, 23 here. You're signing a guy who is getting towards the back nine of his career, especially if you're going to give him a 5-year deal. Like by years 4 and 5, he's going to be towards the end of his career. So you need to be really, really careful with a player who is coming off a career year, hitting unrestricted free agency, and had that career year in his late 20s already. He's a risk. Nugent Hopkins is the really safe bet on the free agent market. And that's why ultimately I think they get a deal done with him because he's comfortable here. They know what you're going to get. There's not a ton of risk in bringing back Nuge. There's risk in signing a guy like Zach Hyman, but there's reward as well. If he comes here and clicks with 97, like I think we're talking about a 30 goal guy.
Let's keep working the list. Blake Coleman. UFA
Love
this
him.
year?
They should announce it right now.
Yeah, I'd love it too.
Coleman's gonna opt out of the rest of the playoffs and sign in Edmonton.
Who's paying that fine? I feel like that's a little bit of tampering right there.
What was the offer that we made to Markstrom that he supposedly turned down?
I think it was 7 by 5.75.
What if you offered that to Philip Grubauer? Would you guys be upset at that?
I'd love that.
I'd love that.
Grubauer under 6 mil is a steal.
Yeah,
what was that, Tyler? Game 2 against Vegas. They were shelling him, and then Rantanen ended up winning it in OT. So I would love that. Keep working the list here, boys. Thomas Tatar, is that excite anybody?
He's been healthy, scratched in the playoffs in the last 2 teams he's been on. Like I just worry he's too inconsistent. But I will say this: the smart play for the Oilers in the flat cap year would almost be to keep like $3 million in cap space or maybe it's even Clefbaum's LTIR money, and you do what St. Louis did with Tarasenko at the beginning of the year. But keep a little bit of money around. And then if there's a guy like Tatar who might hang around until the end of free agency, do the Barry thing. Go Tom. I'd call him Tom because I think we're that close. I'd go Tom. 1 year, $2 million.
Or
TT. Just fucking show up. Yeah, TT. Tatar. And I'd try sell him on the Barry deal.
You got to do that with the boxing accent.
Tatar. Wabbit.
If you answered the phone and you said Tom, I think he would just hang up.
What about Tommy? Tommy's got to work.
Yeah,
Tommy might work.
That's informal. Does Michael Granlund excite anyone?
Not really, because I think the biggest name we go for has to be able to play in the top 6. And I don't think he's a top 6 type of guy. So I think we need to focus on that. And once we get that, we can fill holes after that. But I think our number one is to fill in that top 6 winger. And I think there's only a handful of guys out there that can do that.
Brendan Saad.
Sorry, I just want to say, if you lose Nuge, Granlund's more appetizing to me because he has that versatility.
That two-way game.
He got mentioned a little bit.
I love Saad. I think Saad's a great fit as well. I worry he's going to cost you too much, but that's a guy who has a history of playing with skill. I don't think he shouldn't cost you more than $6 million. If you can get Brandon Saad in the low 5s on a 5-year deal, similar to Hyman, he's 28, but he has a longer track record. So that leaves me feeling a little bit safer in that bet. He scored 30 goals before, scored at almost a 30-goal pace this season. I think Saad would be a really nice fit here.
What about Vegas? Sorry, Dan, go ahead.
I was going to say, what about a guy like Nick Foligno?
Like a bottom 6 type of guy is okay for the rate. Yeah, right price tag in the bottom 6, whatever. But yeah.
How about he's playing in Vegas right now, Matthias Janmark?
I don't hate Janmark, but I worried he's going to get paid too much. We just talked about a guy named Nick, and then you just brought up a bottom 6 center. Let me morph those two. Nick Bonino. He's an interesting name to me. I'd keep an eye on him. Nick Bonino. Lefty.
Yeah, he's a center lefty, 10 goals, 16 assists this year, 4.1. But I think a lot of guys are going to get a pay cut this year.
And another thing with him, and I just remember this. So when I worked at the Jersey City in West Edmonton Mall, I think I've told this story on the podcast before. I was working. Someone called in, said, "What kind of Pittsburgh Penguins Stanley Cup stuff do you have?" And I was like, well, like cups, mugs, shot glasses, shirts, hats. She goes, put it all on hold. So I put it all on hold. Nick Bonino's wife comes in and picks it all up from the store. And she's from here. And they came and had their Stanley Cup party or part of it here in Edmonton. So that's interesting. He has a bit of a connection to the Edmonton market, even though he's an American.
I'd be into it.
Fact.
I've heard his name's been mentioned around here before.
We've got Harn Ryan Singh doing a lot of Oilers games. The Bonino thing works, you know?
A lot of symmetry here.
It works. Okay. Anybody that I'm leaving off? Oh, here's one. He's a restricted guy. This would be a trade. I'm just interested in your thoughts on it. I don't think it's realistic, but what about a guy like Patrick Laine? It seems like he's just not going to be in Columbus, or I don't know what's going to go on.
His beef was with Tortorella, and Tortorella's gone, so he's staying in Columbus. Friedman dropped that not too long ago. He said he's pretty confident that Laine is sticking around.
What does Elliot Friedman know?
Does that not show like a little bit of, I don't know, lack of something when you have like that big of it? Like, do you think he shut down on his coach? Do you think he was just playing bad? He was giving it all he got and things weren't working for him. Like, I know the four of us probably don't watch a lot of their games, especially when, you know, in a condensed season, we're trying to watch all the Oiler games. That's fair.
Tyler likes Columbus.
What do you think happened there?
I don't think that it was an issue as much as Tortorella made it an issue.
Yeah.
Like I think if he had gone to another team, he probably wouldn't.
People hate. I see a lot of people hate Torts, but I see a lot of players who played for him love Torts.
But the players that love him are the ones that are the guys that work their asses off.
Or you got to be, I think if you got like the personality where a guy fucking being in your face and pushing you is what gets you forward.
But I don't think he's like, I don't know if he's always like that though.
Yeah,
like, that's the thing. Like him, because Bill Belichick, everyone would say the same thing. And they say as soon as the lights are off, the cameras are off, these guys are the nicest guys in the world.
John
well, there's being
dogs like in his fucking.
Yeah, but that has nothing to do with work though. Like,
no, I'm just saying what kind of personality he has when the cameras are off and the fucking, the pressure of the 60 minutes is in there, and it's like 2 days off, and like, what do you got there?
But if you're in a work environment though, like I think if your boss, because that's what he is essentially, is if your boss is one of those dudes, it's like when you're on the job, he's fucking pushing buttons all the time. There's some guys that they can't do that.
John Scott talks about it quite a bit because he was with him in New York, and he says that it's just like it wasn't his style of coaching that he liked, but he knows that there was guys on that team that would like go to war for Tortorella because they loved that in your face, wake you the hell up and get playing kind of attitude, and it helped them. So yeah, it's if you
look at Winnipeg, Paul Maurice, I don't think it would be that terribly different than Torts. Not terribly different, not in terms of like kid gloves and being nice with their words and stuff like that. Like maybe their intensity level is going to be able to say they both don't look like very nice people to talk to at that point of the game. Like, though that type of thing is going to, I think they're more close than they are opposites.
A couple other names, Bag Milk, that I wanted to throw out there. One of them is a forward, and that's Jaden Schwartz, left shooting, left winger. I think that's an interesting one from an Oilers perspective. You know, maybe a guy that fits in your top six if you need to, or if you want to bring in a few wingers. And the other one, and I pitched this out. Actually, I think it was on the radio. I don't think it was on one of these podcasts. I don't remember, but like Tyson Barrie came here on a 1-year show me deal, rebounded his value. I wonder if a guy like Freddie Anderson could do that here in Edmonton, where if he's young, he's still got a lot of hockey left in him, but he's coming off a not great season where he was battling some injuries. I wonder if the chance to come to Edmonton, put up some decent numbers and not have a huge workload because Mike Smith is still here. I wonder if a 1-year deal could work for Freddie Anderson here.
I wouldn't mind it, to be honest. It's just a matter of how do you get rid of Koskinen? What, like, is it the buyout route?
Yeah.
Because then I can see it. It's just, there's so many things that just
that buyout thing doesn't look that buyout thing doesn't look too bad. Dusty's posted two rosters so far that he's done on whatever website it is. And he's bought out Neil and Koskinen on both of them, I believe.
Yeah.
And he's got 2 rosters that I got really jacked up reading about.
Well, we do this
I don't think it's that far.
Okay,
but Freddie Anderson scares me. We're in a fishbowl just as big as Toronto, if not a little bit less because of the people. You make one little mistake, it's getting blown out of the water. And if you come here with Mike Smith next year, it's hopefully in a best case scenario, everybody plays as well as they can. But what happens if Mike falls off a bit? Then Freddie's got to take a bigger load.
He's shown he can do that though.
But what scares you more? Koskinen behind Smith or Freddie Anderson behind Smith? To me, it's not close.
What scares me more is probably Koskinen, just because we know what we're dealing with. What I would prefer is the one that's not option there is somebody else.
I've supported Koskinen throughout, but the book has been written on that guy, and it's like, to me, it's signed and it's sealed and it's published. His glove side is absolutely a joke, and we can't accept that anymore. Like, we can't have that as a, going into the playoffs thinking if Mike Smith doesn't do this, which he did, even then he did it and we still didn't win. But if he doesn't do this, we had no other option. We had nobody to fall back to, where, like we talked about with this playoff, most teams have had two goalies.
You still had him there. It just chances are he wasn't going to look. But he only looked bad for 2.5. He only looked bad for like 3 weeks before, which is like 4 games.
At the start of the season.
Before that, he actually, okay, that's fair because he had the 13 or whatever. So he started off okay and then wore down. There was a time there where it looked like we might be confident, but then he put together like 4 games where they just weren't looking too hot.
Well, but with him, it's that's been consistent throughout his time, right? He has hot streaks, and then he just has a whole boy streak. And like I said, I've been one of the biggest apologists for Koskinen's going into this, and I hate the idea of buyouts. I think that buyouts are really cool until you actually do it, and then it's like immediately afterwards you're like, oh, that's dead money, and I hate that. But for me, it's I think that you have to go out and find a goalie that, if Mike Smith isn't Vezina quality next year, you have an option to replace him with, because we cannot rely on Koskinen.
The thing with buyouts
quality,
too, though,
you need an average of 920 from both your guys going forward. You don't need like a Vezina goalie.
And I made this point on Twitter, and I was kind of joking a little with it, but when it comes to Koskinen, what's a bigger waste of cap space? $1.5 million on the books for the next 2 years, but going and getting a competent goalie, or having to keep him on the roster and having that weight there and not being able to go out and afford another goalie because you're riding with Koskinen, and that could sink your season. And same thing with Neal to a lesser degree on the sink your season side of it. But what's a bigger waste of cap space? 2 years down the road of James Neal being on your books at $1.9 million, which at that point, if the cap's going up, might not be that bad. Or is it having a healthy scratch $5.75 million for the next 2 seasons?
It's fair. And that's why, like I said, as much as I hate buyouts, I think that's the option that you have to look at, because at this point nobody's taking James Neal on at his inflated.
Oh, come on, Seattle, they eat a guy with $1 million smile, huh?
They made
I
some
actually
bad
think that's, if you're okay with, and it doesn't save you as much in the short term, but if you half it to Seattle, I think there's a chance there. I think there is a real chance.
Especially when these guys do that other trade where they half it again.
Yeah.
Looking at it right now, just if you're listening to this, so in the 2021-2022 season, the Oilers have Sexy Reg on the books at 1.5 and 750 from the Milan Lucic trade. So that's 2.2 already in dead space for the Oilers. All right, let's move along. We talked about the Leafs a little bit. We talked about the Oilers. My question for all of you is this: which first round exit was more painful? Which first round exit was more painful? While you're thinking about it, I want to give a shout out to our friends at Cornerstone Insurance. They've got all the insurance products you need to make sure that you are fully covered, be it your person, your house, your car, whatever you need. cornerstoneins.ca, cornerstoneins.ca. And if you go on the left-hand side of the screen, there's a little button for citizens of the nation. Get yourself a little discount. cornerstoneins.ca. All right, boys, the question: sweep in the first round, or being 1 game away from going to the second round and losing 3 straight to let the wheels fall off? Which would you rather have? Would you rather be us Oilers fans pissed off about a sweep, or Leafs fans burning Gilmore jerseys? Tyler, what do you got?
I'd rather get swept. It's quick. It's painless. It's like ripping off a Band-Aid. Our disappointment hit us hard, but it was over quickly. We did not have the drawn out storyline of blowing a 3-1 series lead. So I'm going with that.
I'm with you 100%. Getting swept blows.
It's lame, but
nobody wants to get swept. Not winning a game sucks, but blowing 3 straight games to get knocked out by Montreal is way worse. Not only did they get knocked out, they lost to a original 6 rival, probably one of the, for Leafs fans, one of the worst teams to get knocked out of the first round in that fashion too. I am with Tyler, 1,000% sweep. I'll take that all the time if those are my 2 options. Dan, what do you say?
Yeah. I mean, I like the idea of getting a few more games and having some hope into the equation. But I looked at it like a scenario. If I'm getting kidnapped and my options are to either take 4 to the temple or let my captor tell me that I'm going to be able to escape and then slowly peel my skin off one night at a time.
Jesus, Dan,
I'm going 4 to
What
ahead.
is happening right now?
Yeah, no kidding. Good Lord.
Hey,
you put way too much thought into this.
That's really how I feel after getting swept, was that I just took 4 to the chamber and that was it. But yeah, I'd rather not have it drawn out. And like a guy like Steve Dangle, who's the eternal optimist, resigning himself to the fact that they're losing after game 6, like, man, that is a tough.
That is 100%. So I have a couple buddies like that too. That is 100% just trying to speak it into reality. Like, I'm going to play and we're going to lose. And they're just trying to work it in. That's what I guarantee you. That's what half the Oilers fans will do too. There is no right answer. Well, 4 is definitely hurts the least, I suppose.
Is you want a shit sandwich or a shit sandwich with mustard?
They all suck, man. They absolutely. We've gone through it all. We've been through all of them. They're absolutely fucking terrible.
Because the thing for the Leafs fans too is I was digging into Twitter a little bit because I was having hashtag fun. And after game 5 when they lost in OT, you could see the mentality starting to shift. Like, oh, this isn't happening again. And then when they lost game 6, then it really started to happen. And then when Montreal scored first in game 7, then it was a foregone conclusion.
But those are fans that have been going through like the hell forever. So they're like they anticipate it. We know it because we go through it down our own damn tracks. But as a guy who watches a lot of hockey anyways, even in going into game 7, I was like, there's no way Toronto loses this.
Even in that
third period, I was like, no, Toronto's going to win this. Like, I'm not even getting my hopes up. I'm not even going to talk about the fact that 3 of us of the 4 of us on this podcast picked Montreal to win in 7.
We did.
I'm not even bringing it up because it's not going to happen. It doesn't even matter. Like,
was I the only guy?
It's almost like watching. Yeah.
Nice.
But to be fair, we all picked Montreal because we were like, oh, it'll be a better matchup for Edmonton.
It was just we did it out of spite. To be fair. So
did you? Oh no, I didn't. Today would be game 2, guys.
I don't want to talk about it.
That's depressing.
I don't want to talk about it. What I do want to talk about though is let's fight again. Mark Scheifele.
Just before you order that alcohol on Skip the Dishes, I'd like you to remember that tonight could be game 2.
Mark Scheifele, gentlemen. The Jets Habs series is going. Game 1. First of all, why couldn't we get that hellebuck? First of all,
no, okay.
That was a problem. But I want to talk specifically about Scheifele's hit. Game was basically wrapped up. Evans closed it out with the empty netter. Scheifele blew him up. The first time I saw the hit was actually Dan posted it on Hockey Fights Instagram, and I just went, holy shit, because that was a hit from 1996. That's what that was, and those don't really happen anymore. Those hits don't ever happen. Those hits, like that dude traveled 200 feet. It's very rare to see someone get that much runway into a fucking full-on hit. There's Dan,
almost no comparisons.
Dan, when you clipped it, because like I said, the first time I saw it was the Hockey Fights clip, and then I saw the different angles and I saw the full thing. Like, you didn't have the whole thing in there, right? You didn't have like the full lead up.
Yeah, I did. I tried to include the icing just to give an idea of how far away from the hit that he was when he started his glide. And I wanted to kind of give that show of the distance that he did glide, because he did at the end of the hit, I will say.
He glides from the top of the circles in.
It was so I just want everybody's take real quick on the hit. I couldn't believe it. I could not believe that was a hit in 2021. And then to say that he was trying to prevent a goal or whatever he said, I was like, no, you weren't, man. You tried
he was,
to
though.
No. As soon as he stopped skating, you could tell he made the decision. He stopped skating, started gliding, and went from like, I'm going to try catch this guy and scoop the puck to like, I'm just going to fucking murder this guy. And he just,
I don't think that he decided to change it till he got to about the top of the crease. When you see his stick come back, because he lost the race, it was over. Nothing he could do anymore. The puck was relatively in, whether it fully crossed or not. And at that point, he's like, yeah, we're finishing it.
Okay,
but dude, like I'm Mr. Evans, you have to keep your head on a swivel. You have to know where everybody is on the ice. We need to have more respect for ourselves on the ice. If I tape a bunch of $1,000 bills to my chest and I walk through a crowd of people and some people steal them off me, I want nobody to blame the people around me. I'm putting that blame on myself. I put myself in a bad situation. And at the end of the day, that's on me. You easily could have stopped behind the net, tucked it in on the forehand. Ain't nobody ever going to fucking touch them. But they play this a way now where they don't take care of themselves. Yes, you have to trust that the other guy's not out to hurt you, but at the same time, you're going to be put in weird positions. It's a high-paced game. There's emotions involved. It's dangerous. It can be dangerous. And he put himself in a situation where he needed the other guy to go above and beyond in preventing a collision, and didn't. And there was two bodies. By the time that puck went in the net, it was far too close to stop. And if you do not give it your 100%, you're going to get called out by your coach.
Okay, so
he had to do what he had to do.
So here's my thing with the hit. If that hit happens, if he connects with Evans as he's wrapping around the net and the puck just glides out into the middle of the ice with Evans' lifeless body laying behind the net, that's a huge highlight for this league. And I don't think that it necessarily gets the same. Maybe it's a charging penalty and whatever, but it's weird that he started to glide and then continued on the hit. That was where I was kind of confused about it.
You can't keep striding because you need to get your balance and everything, and you're going to close in the space get closed super duper quick. You can't keep striding. And even that point, if you don't take one or too much stride, maybe it does feel like, you're letting up a bit.
Well, but
you can't keep striding all the way through the fucking thing, though. That's gonna be terrible.
For me, the issue is, and then that's where, like Bag Milk said, you can't say that you were trying to stop the play if you stopped skating. Like I don't believe that. If you were trying to stop the play and you came in and you bodied the guy because you were trying to reach for his stick and you just continued to follow through, that's a different conversation. But he slowed down. The puck goes in the net. Yes, it's a split-second decision, but he made the decision to continue to glide in on a trajectory that was going to take out Mike Evans and not the net, or not go past Mike Evans, kind of thing. Or Jake,
What's he supposed to do, though? What's he supposed to do?
Mike Evans is a receiver for the Bucks.
Yes, that's the one I was thinking.
Mike Evans is going to fucking finish that hit too.
Well, that's I think in the NFL.
My thought was I didn't buy that he was going for the puck because he didn't make any even just wave at it or anything. It was
all you're trying to do is you're trying to stop him.
He was a torpedo into a guy.
He pulled his stick in. He didn't
the puck went away.
Waving at it. There was nothing like that. So
that's where I'm okay.
What do you want him to you're not going to do this. You're going to get out there and just try and poke it. If you can't poke it, you've lost.
Why not?
But the idea of playing the body while also playing the puck, is a thing, right? Like you go in for the hit and try to grab the puck from him at the same time. There was there wasn't even 1% of that from Scheifele. He was clearly just I'm going to hit this guy as hard as I can because he was already hot, right? Leading up to that moment, he was pissed off.
What's he supposed to do as the defender? Are you supposed to just let him tuck it in and skate away?
Not hit the player.
You can
You can't almost stop at that point. You can't say I'm going for the puck to stop the puck and then actually avoid that collision. I don't think it's physically possible.
With all this said, I think it was dirty. I think it was a really, really dangerous hit from Scheifele. I think 4 games was one too many. Yep. They should have given him 3.
Well, 2 or 3 regular season games, right?
I was two games either way. Regular season or playoffs. I don't like the difference.
If they go off the translation of 1 playoff game is 2 regular season games or whatever. So I think if that hit happened in the middle of November, Scheifele,
that's not 8 games.
Scheifele's never done anything like that in his career. I just think the punishment was a little stiff, but the hit was really bad. So I almost feel guilty saying the punishment was stiff because I'm they want to teach him a lesson. They need to show that you can't take runs at guys in vulnerable positions.
But this is the issue that comes up now.
It's the reactions in social media that make everything worse.
I don't think George Peros reads Twitter.
No, I think that it's almost into the culture where they have to be a little more. They have to be a little bit harder to that guy, just because of where we are in the world right now.
They did it to
Sure,
Kadri.
it's not a
Kadri
4-game
got-
suspension.
They didn't do it
It's not
to
a 4-game
fucking Tom
suspension.
Wilson. They don't give a shit about
What did-
that.
Ryan
He
Reeves.
didn't. Oh, neither one of them did anything that bad.
But you can't use the argument they like were appeasing social justice warriors for the hit because like they don't do that. They've shown that like there's no consistency. They spin a fucking
They
wheel.
do it sometimes. They do it sometimes and sometimes not. Yes.
But
How is that?
if they were doing it, if they were
How's that
appeasing
acceptable?
social media, though, they would have done it with Tom Wilson.
Yeah.
Yeah,
'Cause
Tom
the people
Wilson's thing
way
was not suspendable. Tom Wilson's.
But that doesn't
thing was
matter.
not
We're not
suspendable.
talking about. We're talking about social media now. And if you're
Yeah,
gonna
that's fair.
if you're gonna dish out a
no, you
suspension,
make a point. No, you make a point. You make a
Look
point.
at us. Look at us.
I just
go.
think that look at us agreeing on things. I just think like I thought I was expecting 2 games. I was a little bit surprised at 4 because well, first of all, you guys want to know my tinfoil hat? My tinfoil hat theory was that he was going to get a shorter suspension because the NHL knew everyone's going to watch Scheifele's first game back.
If they would have given him a fine, man, can you imagine tonight's game? I'd cancel my tea time. I wouldn't be going golfing. I'd be watching the fucking game.
That's why I thought it was. That's why I was surprised that it was 4. Honestly, I thought that would be like, oh, people are going to watch this game for this.
I saw another theory that the NHL wants the Habs to go through.
Yes, that's the natural. I'm sure that somebody in Montreal called 911 for that hit as well. But my thing, I just want to say, and I know that you guys all feel this way, and I think it's kind of starting to leak out there now too, is Nick Ehlers on that play, the complete opposite, right? Like the sportsmanship that he displayed defending. Rick, are you mad at Nick Ehlers?
No, dude, these guys do this stuff all the time. They try and get their body in the way of like stuff like that. I think it's a great job. I think it's fantastic. I just think we're making a bigger deal out of it than it needs to be.
But it's.
I just don't like. It was the right thing to. It was the right thing to do. It was the Lions is definitely going to put his arm.
And it wasn't a teammate. It was an opponent.
Yep, 100% right thing to do. 100% great, fantastic. I just think we always blow things up too much and make too big of a fucking hoopla for this and that, the good and the bad. Everybody needs to calm down and bring their emotions in a little more check in the middle here, I think.
But Connor
for both
McDavid
sides, the good things and bad.
But let's not forget that Connor McDavid drew no penalties this playoff.
Yes.
I just want to throw that out.
Or last.
I imagine the Winnipeg Jets found it was very, very odd to have penalties called against them against Montreal. I don't know how.
What the fuck? A trip? What the hell is that?
Yeah, it's just
I'm at work. I look up at the TV and it's 2-0 Montreal in the first 10 minutes. I threw a fucking pen across the bar. I'm like, are you fucking kidding? I don't think we scored 2 goals in the whole goddamn series. What the fuck is this happening? It made me really upset.
Really upsetting.
Six
upsetting.
Power plays in that game. In game 1 of our series with Winnipeg, we had 1.
It's just like, how does this happen? But we're not. We've complained enough about the refs. Everybody. So just final word. Well, for this season,
I'm not done with that yet.
Well, no, this next season is.
Tyler, you might want to cancel that tea time, though, buddy.
Why?
It looks like the weather's starting to turn here.
Well, yeah, it rained for like 3 seconds out by my place, which is pretty close to the course. So
yeah, I think we're getting some thunder and lightning tonight, boys.
Another quick thing I want to mention is Leonard Petrell, former Oiler, announced his retirement. If you remember, 95 games and 18 points for Leonard Petrell. He was a PK specialist, 6th round pick out of Columbus, 2004. He was here during those the Aiken years, 2011, 2012. Yes, he was. He was here during the Aiken years. So good times. Shout out to you, Leonard Petrell.
Just a whole era of hurt. I don't know who was coach, who was GM, who exactly was on the team at the time. I just remember you're definitely around the time when everything hurt. Yeah,
to quote Molly Cruz, the theater of pain that whole time. Shout out to Leonard Petrell. Thank you for being you. Tyler, you had a good story about him. Did you want to tell that, or are we just going to cut this part out?
No, that's all good. I had heard a story about a time when the Oilers and Jets had a bit of a mix up on the ice, and Byfuglien and Petrell went at it. And Dustin Byfuglien turned to the penalty box attendant and said, "What's that guy's name?" And the attendant goes, "It's Leonard." And he was like, "What?" And he goes, "Leonard." And then Byfuglien leaned back and said, "Hey, Leonard, fuck you." And he needed to double check what Petrell's name was, which really does sum up that era of Oilers players.
Can I just say that scrap probably had something to do with Yak?
I think.
Do you guys remember the fact when Yakupov was here, Winnipeg hated them. They all went out. When we played them 10 times in a row, and every game there was some sort of issue that they had with Yap. I don't understand what it was, but they definitely did not like him.
I'm looking at that team in 2012, 2013. There were some ghosts on that team. I forgot Yan Denis played for 3 games for the Oilers.
Yan Denis played 3 games for the Oilers?
Yeah. And that's Nikolai Habibulin. Shout out to Super Bowl Sunday.
Should have kept Super Bowl Sunday.
Thank you.
What was
that for? You know. What?
I'm just reading names from that era of the Oilers. Like,
go ahead. Give us some favorites.
Okay, well, first off, Sebastian Bissallion's our fucking boy. Like, that guy deserves the ultimate respect.
Wait, hold on. What year is he, though? What year is he?
07 is when I have him here.
Okay, that feels right, yeah.
Give us some of your favorite ghosts here, Tyler. Just some highlights.
I'm a big Marty Gerber guy. Like, that guy came and left.
Oh man, I forgot he was here.
He was a fucking Oiler baby, Marty Gerber.
Yeah, why not?
Come on. This is like mid-July shit for us to be doing though. Like 07, 08 is the year I'm looking at. Like Yoni Pitkinen. Are you fucking kidding me? That guy played for the Oilers?
The glass cannon from Carolina.
That one hurt me because I wanted a defenseman like Yoni Pitkinen from the Oilers for so long, and then he was finally here, and it was just like,
wasn't that good.
It just didn't work out, huh?
Like one of those guys who could move the puck. You look like one of those guys who.
Eric Cole. Good.
Why did we put him on the left side? Can someone please tell me why you put him on the left side? That dude lit up the world from the right. The way he could drive in on his backhand and drive to the net was like. That's exactly what we're like. Oh, this guy's fantastic. Look what he can do there. You know what? Let's put him on the other side of the ice and see what happens. And he might as well have been using a ringette stick because the guy couldn't do shit from the other side. And we never put him on the fucking right again. Later
on in the offseason, we should put together just like a roster of our all-time favorite ghosts. Just like some of our favorites, because it would be a hell of a list, or like a starting lineup of our favorite ghosts.
Yeah.
We should just have a draft.
We're too early for these two, but if we should do a draft. If we were to do a draft of Oilers ghosts in 5 years, your starting blue line better be Jason Garrison and Mike Green, because we're going to forget about those guys in like a few months probably, and a few years from now, we'll look back fondly on the Mike Green era.
Yeah. Dude, I was thinking Matt. I was like, dude, Matt was okay. Oh, fuck, Mike was there. That's right.
I want Mike Green was like 3 games? 2 games?
Yeah, I think
Matt, I was hoping 8 years before that he was going to be here.
Ken Holland gave up a pick and the dude opted out before they returned. Classic.
Speaking of former Oilers, I want to give a shout out to Tyler and I, specifically for the Luke Gazdic interview yesterday, and Dan for setting it up, actually. Real life podcast. Check it out. Luke Gazdic also announced his retirement. He gave us a little bit of history on his time at Edmonton, what it was like when he played his first game at Rexall Place. He gave us a cool Joey Moss story. Anything else I'm missing, Tyler? Oh, you're going to want to hear his story about equipment decisions that certain NHL players make. I'm going to leave it at that. Hear it for yourself. It'll blow your mind, I promise. It will blow your mind.
Down. Make sure you're sitting down for this part because it'll shock you from within.
So check out the Luke Gazdic interview from the Real Life Podcast. We did that yesterday. That's everywhere you get your podcasts from. Gentlemen, we made it. Finally. It is time for the Deuce Vodka Hot and Cold Performers. Tyler, get your buttons ready.
Okay.
If you head on over to deucevodka.com, you will see some very handsome pictures of Brett Kissel holding bottles of Deuce Vodka. And as somebody who has tried it, somebody who has enjoyed it, I'm telling you that you will love it. Head on over to deucevodka.com/about. You will find a store locator, maybe some merch. I like me this Deuce Vodka hat I'm looking at right now. Got some nice tees that look really nice on any of you. Promise. deucevodka.com. Get yourself a drink. Enjoy responsibly, provided that you are of legal drinking age. All right.
Drop a deuce.
Drop a deuce. Now, we've argued, we've reconciled, we've made up, we've made waves. But now, let's get to the downsides of our last 7 days. Dan, I'm looking at you, your Deuce Vodka Cold Performer of the Week.
Man, I got a few, but I'll choose the ones around the announcement this last Tuesday, that the Edmonton football team finally has a new name. The Edmonton Elks are our name. And oh boy, the grammar police that came out and wanted to fight for the name of a team that, wasn't that bad. The logo is amazing. The helmet's the best helmet in the league now. Like, we're going to have some fun with this. And people still just want to have some rage about something. And so the grammar conversation started up. Is elks the plural of elk? I don't know. I'm sure it's still up for debate and people are still arguing about it. But people that can't just see the forest through the trees on the new Edmonton Elks name, you're my Deuce Vodka Cold Performer of the Week.
That's a joke. That's an absolute joke is what it is.
I was one of the people that asked if elk was the plural. I just thought it was. But what I did
then you didn't outrage.
Well, it took some serious digging. It took some serious digging to figure out the actual rules behind whether or not it's elk or elks or exactly how it goes. So
yeah,
it's worth a question, but they have an answer for it.
My
I
big
learned
beef
that
with
both are acceptable.
Yeah, and like my beef with it too is that like it doesn't really matter, because think when you're talking about the Oilers, do you say like, oh, I'm going to the Oiler game? Like people will say that and you won't care, or oh, I'm going to the Oilers game. Like they both work. And people just wanted to bitch about it for the sake of it. Like as we get going here and as this name becomes the norm, no, you're not. It's not like you're going to sit there and be like, hey, you want to go see the elk play? And people are going to be like, oh, you fucking idiot. You don't know what you're fucking talking about. Fucking moron. It's elks. You forgot the S dipshit. Come on.
We always cover the mic when you're trying to you covered the mic with both hands there? Is that,
well, you're supposed to,
does that get you something?
You're supposed to move your face away if you're going to yell. And then I guess he just changed his voice by doing that.
Yeah, I was
adding. I feel like I feel like I just learned something there. I gotta get a microphone because I want to do things like that.
It's like a good way, I think, to like you can talk nice and softly, but then you get like nice.
Yeah,
and close
I
to
dig
the
it.
mic.
ASMR.
Yeah, well, ASMR.
For the record, I just asked if elk was the plural because I didn't know. I didn't care. I haven't gone to an Edmonton football game in fucking years. I will go.
It's because we haven't been allowed to. Just kidding.
I will go. I'm excited to go. Like Dan said, I think the logo's dope, actually. I was thinking of ordering myself a hoodie. They look sharp.
The only thing is a little bit close to Milwaukee stuff, I thought.
Yeah, a little bit, but I like that.
Yeah, a little bit.
It's also close to everything else, like Alexander Keith's Browning rifles. There's a whole list of them. It's kind of a hard thing to change up the logo too much.
Keith's is dead on. This is only on the side.
No, Keith's is from the side.
We're done fighting. Next, who's up next? Let's wrap.
I gotta Google this.
Tyler, I'll just send it to you. Your Deuce Vodka Cold Performer of the Week.
Every time a team is eliminated or something bad happens, we got to go on social media and deal with every major outlet sharing videos of fans burning jerseys and spray painting things. And I have two takes on this. One, don't fucking burn jerseys. If a player does something bad, don't tag them or their family in stuff and harass them. Don't be a dick on the internet and don't burn jerseys and shit for attention. Secondly, let's stop reposting all of this shit as well. It's like streakers at a football game. They don't show them on TV anymore because you're de-incentivizing people running on the field naked. You don't want them to become celebrities. So for the people who burn jerseys and all that shit, quit looking for attention. We should probably stop giving them attention as well. So maybe this whole rant is counterproductive, but stop being assholes on the internet. Stop harassing players. Stop tagging them in your shitty tweets and stop burning your shit, morons.
Are you thrilled? I'm not.
For the record, I appreciate streakers. I wish they were on TV. I love watching them run away from security. It's fun. I don't know.
One of the best videos in the last 20 years was Fan Guy going into that boxing match. Remember that with the parachute?
Oh, dude,
he had a website on his back of his. He had a website on the back of his body.
They all started doing that after a while. It's
a marketing opportunity.
Can I add one more thing? I hate when someone posts a video of them burning a jersey, but it's clearly one of those $20 knockoff jerseys. I don't have a problem at all with the people who wear them. If you don't want to spend $200, fucking hell yeah. If you just want to support your team however you want, you do it. I don't have a problem with that. But don't try to flex and be like, oh, I'm burning my Gilmore jersey that you paid $27.99 for on VIPjerseys.web. Fuck off.
How about the people that can't make a decent fire also?
Yeah.
It seems correlated between the people that burn jerseys and they can't make a decent fire with some wood. Or it's like they're so excited. Oh, we have a flame. Let's put our jersey in it. And then they snuff it out with the jersey and they have to go over again. It's just so
you gotta do it in that big fire pit or the big garbage can overspend ones. You got to fade it nice and roar and then toss her in or something.
You need pallets. We're talking I want to see, if we're doing a jersey fire, I want people to see it from space.
Do it in your living room. Just start the fire in your living room, and then by the time the house is burned down, you'll go viral.
Well, the roof and the walls will keep the oxygen and will help it burn, right?
Yeah. And then when your house is on fire, you just toss that jersey up on the roof. It makes sense.
No, that's when you do the live Instagram and you toss it in there. You're like, exactly. What do you think now, Doug Gilmour? Thanks for losing the goddamn game.
It made me sad to see Doug Gilmour being like, hey, that guy's burning my jersey.
What the heck, guys? And also like, Doug, don't even pay them any. Whatever.
Rick, you're next up. Deuce Vodka Cold Performer of the Week.
Well, mine's a little bit closer to Tyler's there. I don't know if it's just basketball right now or if it's those are the only guys who are allowed, the first set of fans that are allowed in right now. But this type of fan interaction with players and the throwing shit on them and spitting on them and like, I don't know what it is, man. This isn't even like normal fanatic bullshit, right? Like, I get excited and they lose in overtime and whatever. I go on a 4-hour walk, but these guys are like literally spitting on someone who's like 10 feet away from you.
Like you would never spit on Graham Skilleter.
No, but I damn well give him my piece of my mind.
But you know where the line is.
I would never spit on him. No, I would never damn spit on him. How you just can't do that, man. Like this is ridiculous. It's honestly, I wish 50 Cent got up and knocked that guy in the mouth afterwards because it was absolutely ridiculous.
Well, and respect to them for not doing that.
Well, no, like 50 Cent was standing, like, I don't know if you've seen this, like, dude spit on him, and in the bottom left corner of the video is 50 Cent with his mask on. You're like, well, what the hell was that? So even, 50 could have got up and, like, just taken care of this himself. Nonetheless, these people, I don't know who exactly you are. I really hope it's just in basketball for the next 12 minutes, and it doesn't show up in baseball or hockey or anything else in football going forward. It's just, I don't know. These guys really got to get a hold of themselves.
Tyler?
Boy.
Oh, I'm next.
That escalated quickly.
You could say that about the whole podcast, really.
Yeah, we could have used that once or twice.
My Deuce Vodka Cold Performer of the Week is going to be Leon Draisaitl getting the Ted Lindsay snub. Crosby? Really? Come on. What are we doing here? Matthew? What are we talking about? Leon Draisaitl, if it wasn't for Connor McDavid, would have been nominated. And I think it's dumb that they have some kind of rule that two teammates can't be nominated for the same award. Leon Draisaitl, I love you. We all love you. Can't wait to see you again, buddy. Not to mention, by the way, Draisaitl, when he goes on Instagram, posts, we'll be back next year, all that shit. Love him for it. So the snub, that's my cold performer of the week.
I'm upset.
Also, can I say, like, you go to Leon Draisaitl's Instagram and it's all him, like, posting screenshots from Oilers games, being like, fucking rights, here we go, oil country. Then McDavid's is just like, the new Addy Zero hoodie keeps me cool and comfortable while I go for my morning jogs.
Connor is the only one, like, because Cahoon was putting out Oilers stuff. Yeah. Nurse was putting out Oilers stuff. They all were putting out Oilers stuff. And then, you get a little Adidas drop from Connor.
Or it'll be like, before a big playoff game, oil country, I drink BioSteel. And it's like, okay, thanks, Connor.
And you know what? I also would like a BioSteel, Connor. All right. Flipping the ledger. Let's get to some positives. Let's end this off on a positive note. Deuce Vodka Hot Performer of the Week. Tyler Yaremchuk, you're first.
A report from a Finnish website. I saw it was shared by Peter Bau, who covers the Avalanche for The Athletic. And I'll just read to you the title. Mikko Rantanen reportedly got his $2,000 embellishing fine rescinded by the NHL after writing an 8-point report on why he disagreed with the fine. He showed it to his Avalanche teammate, and they told him he should go to law school. Mikko Rantanen was so pissed off that he got fined $2,000. This is a guy who makes millions. Got fined $2,000 for diving, that he stood up and he did something about it. He stood up for what he felt was an injustice in his life. And I applaud Mikko Rantanen for standing up and getting his money back. And you know what, Mikko? I hope you take your lady out for a nice dinner or something like that and put that $2,000 to good use, because I just think it's hilarious. You know what Mikko Rantanen said? He sat there and said this.
We have been hoodwinked, bamboozled, led astray, run amok, and flat out deceived.
Dan, you're next up. Your Deuce Vodka Hot Performer of the Week.
Well, boys, we're talking about a lot of disappointment this year for the Edmonton Oilers, but there was one bright, shining star and it is our AHL playoff champions. That's right, Rick. The AHL playoff champions, because they are the only AHL team still standing. It's the Bakersfield Condors.
Like Edmonton.
For winning the Pacific. Hey, we're going to put a banner up at Rogers Place. I certainly hope so. We are the AHL Pacific Division champions. And for those of you who weren't following along with the AHL, none of the other divisions had a playoff. So by the two best words in the English language, default, the Bakersfield Condors are the AHL champions of the world.
Default one word.
No, two words. Default. Anyways, Bakersfield Condors, you're my Deuce Vodka, dropping a deuce, hot performer of the week.
Ha! You know what time it is, y'all? The NHL is back.
I just had to add more Stephen A. in.
That's fair.
I don't know what I feel like about this guy calling hockey now.
Stephen A.
It's bringing attention, man.
So
it's
good
all
for the
good.
sport. It's so good.
To the people outside the sport.
Yeah.
Like there's not gonna be a lot of people who watch hockey that are gonna turn to this dude, but it's gonna bring a lot of people that don't watch.
Oh, yeah.
It's
We'll stay watching Frank Saravelli and Bob McKenzie and the new fans will
like
be.
that. It's nothing like that because this guy just goes off. Like his whole thing is like a character, and
He's a hype guy.
So over the top for me.
It's theater. I like it. Rick, you're next up. Deuce Vodka hot performer of the week.
Well, Dan, if you're giving it to someone from the AHL, it should have been Tyler Benson in that flow, because you guys should take a look at his hair right now. It's glorious. But I'm going to go a little bit closer to home. And I know it's not this year, but it is next year. And I honestly, I thought Tyler was going to take this one, but it's the beer bats.
Huh.
Come on, guys. It's the
on
beer
my
bats.
list. It's on my list. I just couldn't
It's the
go
beer
with that.
bats.
Yes.
Like, come on. Like, I can't wait to get down there into, I don't know if we're going to have it this year or not, but the nation box. Do we just ask, like, can we get like 12? Do we ask for a dozen? Do we just get the beer bats by the dozen? Do we take them? Do we refill them up? Like,
what is a beer bat?
It's a hollow bat you're going to drink beer out of. So, okay, what it is, the really big cups they have in Vegas, like the 1 yard or 2 yard cups.
Yeah.
So it's a rip off of that. It's a rip off of that. There's a couple places in town that kind of do those. I don't even know what the hell they call them, but they're
tall,
whatever,
boys.
the 1 yards or whatever. So the Skyhawks are going to bring them in. I don't know exactly how big they are or how much beer they hold, but they showed a little picture on, I think it was Twitter yesterday. And so it's just a hollowed out bats that we're going to fill up with beer. And then, I don't know, I can see us getting into a little bit of trouble with those things afterwards, but that's their problem, not ours. So yeah, let's give it to the beer bats, the hot performer this week, even though it's not available probably for another 52 or so. The beer bats. Let's go for some Riverhawk beer bats.
I also drink a beer at Rogers Place and I get crazy.
See, I'm young enough to remember getting mini bats at baseball games.
I remember that.
Oh, the ones that they were keychains.
The thing about the beer bats that I think about is how warm does that baby get and how quickly? So I'm going to be polishing back beer bats at a rapid pace, I think.
But if it's only like, dude, they're tall and skinny, right? So if they're only like a pint or a pint and a half in the hot, you're putting them back. Like I sit on the patio the other day and those Coronas were flowing, dude. Like I thought there was like a valve on it. You get out there, you're warm, you start putting them back, it keep you nice and cool on the inside. It's good health. I
very, very much miss the Nation box, and I cannot wait to drink beer bats in the sun. Just to wrap things up, my Deuce Vodka hot performer of the week is the Toronto Maple Leafs. Around Edmonton, we had all been feeling a little self-conscious, a little bit hurt, and a little bit fragile. And then all of a sudden, the Toronto Maple Leafs come and they wash away a lot of that pain, and they made us all feel better. Because first of all, remember what they were saying when the Oilers got swept? Oh, McDavid wants out. They're wasting him in Edmonton. Oh, they've got nothing there. They can't win a playoff round. Well, the Toronto Maple Leafs haven't won a playoff round since Shrek 2. And I'll tell you, I had a lot of fun when they got knocked out. I had a lot of fun. The jokes were going.
Do you have some more of those? Do you have some more of those? They haven't won a series since. Come on. What else? Shrek 2. What else we got?
I could put some things together here, I think, real quick. But, well, how's this, Rick?
Because it was 04, I believe, right? It was the spring of 04.
The Leafs haven't won a playoff series since Drop It Like It's Hot. Huh? The Leafs haven't won a playoff series since Yeah by Usher. Huh? What a jam that was.
Dude, that was
the Cowboys.
Bro, for the summertime, that was hot.
That was a hot jam going into Cowboys on Thursday night. Woo! 2004. That was the last time the Leafs won a playoff series. And I just want to say thank you. I want to say thank you because they made me feel a lot better. Schadenfreude is real. And I appreciated all of the shit Toronto fans were throwing our way. And then they had to eat it back so much worse when they lost. So, hot performer of the week, Toronto Maple Leafs.
Woo! Friday, baby. Yeah, let's celebrate Friday. Woo!
Man, that just, I would love a White Claw right now, to be honest.
I got some.
I'm gonna drink 8 tonight.
You know what you could do? You just like toss a shot of Deuce Vodka in your White Claw. Freshen that baby up a little bit.
Well, if you want, so if you want to shotgun them, right? You just pop the bottom, pour it a little bit, then you get the vodka in there.
Jeez.
Little tip. You could do that with the Red Bulls too. That was I don't remember where I learned that, but I learned that once.
Don't do as Rick says. That's our lesson here. All right, gentlemen, is there anything that we need to say before we wind down? This was a spicy one.
Been like
we got
almost
fired up.
90 minutes.
We didn't even talk about the draft lottery.
We didn't even talk about the draft lottery.
Go Kraken.
Did you guys like the hair stand up on? Did that hair stand up on your arm when they first started talking about the draft? Like I wasn't paying attention, and then the words like draft lottery popped. Pardon me, excuse me. Like I felt like this is our time to shine. It took me a second to realize that.
So I didn't know until the day of that the Oilers weren't in it. I probably should have assumed, but I haven't been thinking about the draft lottery. So I'm like, it's our day. And then I looked at the odds. I was like, oh, no fair. I want to win the draft lottery again.
I was just upset that the Arizona Coyotes didn't make it have to be redrafted all over again and make chaos happen once more.
It would have been fun. And it would have also been fun if Buffalo didn't win it. That would have been fun too. But I don't know how I feel about the Kraken just getting the second overall pick right now. It's fine, I guess, but whatever. That's a story for another day. Tyler wants to wrap this up.
I was really hoping they weren't going to get first. But hey, can we just talk about one real quick thing? Since 2011, this is the 6th time that the team who started the year off with Taylor Hall has won the lottery.
It's amazing.
6 times in 10 years.
It is amazing.
That's incredible.
The guy's a witch. So this is my theory. If I'm a horrible
shout out to Buffalo's GM this year. That's a hell of a move.
If I'm a terrible team in the offseason and Boston didn't already lock him up, I'm just being like, Tay, whatever you want on a 1-year deal, buddy. Let's go. We'll trade you at the deadline.
We'll trade you wherever at the deadline.
Boston, we'll give him back to you guys in like February. Don't worry. Just let us sign him right now. We'll give him back to you guys for like pennies on the dollar. It's fine. This is really about next June we're really worried about. So
Taylor Hall is a witch.
How about the micromanaging too by the Buffalo Sabres when Kevin Adams was like, the owner of the team just texted me to smile more. Like, holy, you get text from your owner to tell you to smile more on television.
I suppose the thing is also, I have no idea who the top prospects are. Owen Power, I know, but like, that's the only one. I have no idea. I have zero.
Lieutenant Eric had a great line the other day. He goes, Owen Power, more like Owen, no, I'm getting drafted by Buffalo.
And with that, we will end it off. This is Oilers Nation Radio, episode 100 and something. That's it. That's it.
Shout out Doug Gilmour.
Best wishes. Thanks for listening to Oilers Nation Radio, a member of the Nation Network of Podcasts. Make sure to follow us on all of our social media to stay up to date and never miss a podcast.